this new moon in Libra is about way more than just our relationships. It's also about our relationship with ourselves in this current time and releasing the old versions of ourselves that no longer serve the purpose that we've found. First off, I do want to ask all of you to find out where in your chart this new moon is happening, because it's likely activating that area of your life. If it's in the 10th house, this probably has to do with releasing people or releasing who you were in your work, in your public life, how you wanted to be seen, your reputation. If it's happening in your 5th house, this is affecting your sense of play, your childlikeness, your relationship to children, perhaps your relationship with future children that you're thinking about having. The house in your chart that this new moon is affecting is really important. So if you don't know, you can do a quick Google, or you can DM me or comment below, and I can help you out finding out where that's happening in your chart. It is really, really important to know that information if you're interested in it. So I have these 3 piles on the table. I am going to be picking from the Chakra Oracle deck, which I love and we haven't done in a while. It comes with a little story and a little lesson to be learned. And so I have these face up. You're going to pick which one you resonate with, and then I'll read you your story, and then we're going to get to your reading. Here are your piles to choose from. Pile 1, you've got this isolation. Pile 2, you've got prayer. And pile 3, you've got perseverance. Pile number 1, you chose this isolation card. So let's get into the story behind this card, and then we will get into your reading. So isolation, the saying is, I've got all I could ever need right here. So just off the bat, that's a good affirmation for you to have. The legend is, Sapphire is blue. Occasionally he gets invited somewhere, but invariably he turns the invitation down. After all, what would he wear? He bought a tux once, just in case, but won't wear it because he might spill something on it. Besides, going out would alter his routine. He's tried to meet people, but hasn't met anyone of his caliber. So, Sapphire stays home alone and remains quite blue. The key words for you are celebration, experiences, and play. And the key ideas are self-protection, making excuses, over-preparing, never feeling ready to take action. So that already feels very Libran to me. Libra does have a tendency to, be flaky in some ways, and that's not always a negative thing, but I think in this case, there's kind of this flaky tendency to really want to build relationships with others and make plans, but fall through on them all the time. Or, what was it that they said that was like, where he wants to be invited, but then he just always turns it down. So that want to have emotional or relational engagement, but not engaging in it when it does happen. So I'm interested to see how this isolation plays out with the rest of your new moon reading. Let's pick one of these Botticelli cards for your new moon. We've got the 10 of Cups. So this 10 of Cups, which is the expectation of a happy ending. And Libras can sometimes get lost in the story of the happy ending because they can be so focused on relationships, and we're often told that relationships, have a happily ever after rather than, it's continued work. You have to keep putting in effort for the people that you want to keep in your life. So this 10 of Cups, what this 10 of Cups is saying for your new moon in Libra experience is to release the idea that there is a happily ever after, because there is life after that ever after. There is a continued amount of effort that we need to put in to maintain our happiness and joy, to maintain that happily ever after. It doesn't just happen by magic. It's by our efforts and work that we put in. That's what I'm really feeling for you for this new moon so far. So let's see what changes we can make to maintain that happy. What changes we can make. Ooh, thank you. These two fell out. We've got the Queen of Pentacles and the Magician. So both of those are telling me already that it's very tangible. You have the tools that you need in order to achieve this. So it's almost that you are getting invited out. It's just up to you to take the risk and say, yes, I will do that. I will make a change. I will say yes to the invitations. I will welcome new relationships in. Those are the affirmations for you for this new moon, that I accept new connections with other people regardless of my inhibitions. So that Queen of Pentacles is knowing the value that is being presented to you at the time. And the Magician here is saying, what I can do about it is create something that I want out of it, where you may have opportunities around you that are trying to implement a social structure or social regimen into your life, and it's sort of your doing that you are unraveling these things you're making excuses, just like Sapphire was making those excuses. I have a tux, but I bought it just in case, but I don't want to spill anything on it. You know, it's that fear of taking action. So the changes that need to be made are that fear of action. So ask yourself why you're afraid of action. Where did that come from? What is the fear of what will come after that? Are you afraid of being too bold, or seeming too bold really comes to mind. So that's what I see there. Let's look at what you need to release. Besides that ideal of the happily ever after, I feel like there's more. The Two of Cups. That you need somebody else. That dependency factor with Libra. Libras aren't always codependent, but they do rely a lot on their relationships to teach them life lessons. They rely on on other people. Not that they rely on them to teach them, but just that they rely on the energy of their relationship to teach them the ways that they need to live. So this Two of Cups is saying what you need to release is what your thoughts are on what a relationship should be, romantic or otherwise. Maybe releasing the toxic relationships in your life. This Black Cup is really jumping out at me. You know, it's like you could have a full cup, but it could be full of poison. So what sort of relationships are you allowing and extending your arm to? Who are you willing to put your arm out for? And are they willing to do the same thing for you? And that is pretty much in the general astrology of the new moon in Libra as well. But it does feel very strong for you, especially to, just because they fill up your cup doesn't mean that they're filling it up with something delicious and nutrient and, I don't know, just good for you. Could be something bad. So the need to release the idea that I need someone, even if they're not great for me. So, and I think that was that sentence there in the Sapphire story. So let's see what else. So we've done release. We've done what changes you can make. Let's look at what about the isolation causes fear. We've got Justice and we've got the Six of Swords. Wow. Justice is already ruled by Libra. So what about the idea of isolation fears me? Or do I fear? This Justice. I'm afraid that nobody will notice me. The idea of if nobody notices my existence, do I even exist at all? That's what I'm getting from this Justice. Because here she is doing her best to make things right and fair and beautiful, but she's blindfolded. And she does not care whether anybody else is there to see her existence or, you know, to acknowledge and validate her presence. She just does what she knows she needs to do. And so that's sort of what this new moon in Libra is telling me for you, that you need to move throughout life because it's what you know you need to do, not because it's how other people will perceive you. So that's that Justice. And that Six of Swords, again, I think is sort of just reiterating that, walking away from what you think you've always needed, right? The swords are this mental suit. And so what you have always been communicated to that you would need to have in your life. So maybe social structures again, or systems or constructs that were put in place for you as a child. And it's time for you to release those things. So this new moon in Libra, that's especially large. I think the main takeaway for you here is this Magician. We've got the Magician and Justice, which Magician is number 1, Justice is number 11. There's a lot of focus on the number 1, on seeing your individuality outside of your relationships, that you are not just an extra in a relationship. You are an individual bringing your own magnificent energy into a relationship with another individual. And the energy that you guys create together in this relationship is its whole other separate entity. So that 1, 1, and 1 is really important. Who you are on your own, how you decide to come together with somebody else, and then what energy that relationship holds for itself. And then the 2 of Cups as well. This like binding yourself to somebody else who might just not be that good for you. And it doesn't have to be romantic. It definitely could be, but it also could definitely be in the workplace, in, you know, like in a Facebook group you're in, or, you know, whatever that is coming up for you, whatever area of life this is happening for you, that house in your chart, that's really important. So comment below what house this is happening, because I'm really, really curious. And that is about it. I hope that was helpful for you. I hope you have a wonderful release during this new moon. If you're curious more about what the new moon has to hold and the rest of the astrology for the week, make sure you tune into that video. All right. Thanks, guys. Bye. All right. Pile number 2, you've got your solar plexus yellow prayer chakra oracle card here. And we're just going to read that story here. So, the sentence for it is, my prayers are answered. And the legend is, an old man sits on his porch with his grandson, sipping lemonade and reminiscing. He'd wanted to be a traveling preacher. He'd been all set to leave home, but his father reminded him to pray for guidance. That very night, his father died, and the man realized that Spirit was telling him to stay. Now his grandson appreciates the lemonade, and the old man smiles. He never regretted staying on the farm. Personal inquiry for this is, if my most powerful thoughts are a form of prayer, how can I live in active prayer? And your key ideas are, all prayers are answered, following where life leads, being of service, and fulfillment. So I'm just going to say off the bat, a little disclaimer, I personally am a little uncomfortable with the term prayer just because of the way that I was raised and my focus on organized religion. I wasn't raised religious in any way, but I've always had a little discomfort with some terminologies with organized religion. So other ways to think of the word prayer is manifestation or affirmation or intentions. Those are other ways of telling the universe what it is that you want. I like to call it placing your order into the universe, just like you would place an order at your restaurant, at a restaurant. So that is your chakra oracle card. Let me know what that does for you, what that means to you, because I have my own inhibitions with the word prayer. But I think what the focus on that story was, it was just that the man was going to leave and Spirit told him to stay because there was something more purposeful for him here. And he had his grandson who sort of filled that for him, finding that fulfillment. And so his prayers were answered in that way, where he was able to gain some sort of insight into his purpose and emotional fulfillment. So I'm curious to see how that shows up in the cards for you about the new moon. So let's see, we're going to start with the Ostara Tarot deck. How is this showing up for you? We've got the Three of Swords and we've got the King of Pentacles. Instantly, for some of you, I do feel like there is a relationship that you're leaving behind, maybe with an earth sign, a Taurus, Capricorn, or a Virgo. I am feeling Capricorn or Taurus, but Virgos could certainly be in there too. So this Three of Swords here is something that had been etched in stone, or maybe there's a third party involved where somebody else is kind of involved in the relationship, maybe some infidelity, or maybe just a close friend who's involved in your relationship, or you're involved with your close friend's relationship. And this King of Pentacles here. So I do feel like there's a need to release somebody who at some time provided so much value and insight for you, somebody that you were able to grow with for so long, somebody who gave you a solid, consistent presence in your life. I almost feel like maybe a father figure, and you know, in that story as well, the father was prevalent because it was grandson, father, son, or grandfather, father, son. So maybe there is sort of a man in your family that you're realizing just isn't aligned anymore with your core values or with your sense of self. And so you need to sort of distance yourself from them. I'm definitely feeling that this isn't an particularly easy time at all, but I think there's sort of been a part of you that's known this all along, that it wasn't going to last forever, and that you got to get the value out of it while it was happening. But you might not need that energy anymore. It may have been really useful to you at some point, but it's just not, it's not required anymore. You don't need to get strength from somebody else. You have the strength within yourself now. They were able to help you discover that own inner strength that you had. So I feel like there's going to be some resistance or hesitance with anybody watching this, just because it's hard to hear, like, oh, that person that's given you a lot of strength and consistency and reliability and really, really strong, yeah, they might not be for you anymore. And that's really tough to hear. And I'm not saying that that's for everybody listening to this. We're going to get a little bit more into what other cards come up, but that was just my first feeling. It could also be that there is a relationship that needs to be harbored a little bit more. Like, you need to make a connection. You see these vines that are growing up. It hasn't really even gotten to the root core of the heart in the tree. So there's sort of some work that might need to be done. And you're too focused on protecting yourself. The Three of Swords speaks of protection of self, and so did the prayer card as well. So that idea of protecting yourself is keeping you less close, and you're just being more distant with this other person, the subject, this King of Pentacles character. So those are the two kind of main messages that came through. So let's look at what changes you need to make. New moon is a time of change, of release. You've got the Eight of Cups, the Ten of Pentacles, and the Ten of Wands. Wow, so pretty high cards. The tens are, and these are the changes we need to make. All right, well, we need to walk away from something that we are emotionally attached to, something that we have really high tension with, because it is the full moon. It's like this high energy friction or tension, or just like really solid manifestation of your emotional energy. There's something that needs to be reflected upon as to why you are so emotionally attached to it, and how healthy that emotional attachment is. You know, to this person, possibly what your emotional attachment is, and maybe how healthy or unhealthy it is. I think there's possibly there's a possibility that maybe you're not seeing the reality of the situation. We've got this Ten of Pentacles here, that maybe the situation is better than you thought. Maybe these thoughts of you saying like, oh, you need to release this person from your life, maybe those are anxious thoughts or intrusive thoughts. I know I personally struggle with intrusive thoughts, and I have to remind myself that if I have these thoughts and they are instantly received with an emotional response, that's anxiety, and that's not my intuition. It can be kind of tough to be an intuitive person with anxiety. However, you're more likely to have anxiety if you're an intuitive person. So releasing or recognizing when emotion is attached to the thoughts that you're having, those are anxieties or intrusive thoughts. They are not reality, or they are reality for you. They feel emotionally real and valid, but they might not be accurate. That's a theme that's been coming up a lot for me in the last few days, where yes, feelings are valid, but doesn't mean they are accurate. And then the Ten of Wands as well. There is hard work to be done. I think there's some shadow work. I think there's a lot of reflection that needs to be done. This King of Pentacles is so alluring, and there's some sort of magnetic attraction to this person. It's almost like scorpionic or something, you know, where you're feeling really, really magnetically attracted to this other energy or being or human or whatever it is. And so reflecting, to find the right re-word, it is Mercury retrograde, so the re-words are strong. Reflecting on what the source of attraction is. And yes, it will be some hard work. It isn't just an easy little journal entry. I think there's a lot of time that you need to put into this. Maybe not a lot, but some time that you need to put into it. A lot, some time on the new moon to reflect on your connections with the people you are closest to, why you feel you have an entitlement to their personal lives, if that is the case, and maybe what it is about the relationship that you would like to release. Is there any way to release aspects of the relationship without letting go of the person as a whole? And if they're willing to do that work with you, are you comfortable communicating that with them? There is a very Libran aspect where they are communicators, but they are more like mediators, and Libran energy is not one of confrontation. So it's about being comfortable, being able to communicate, and knowing that the other person or energy or entity or the universe knows that your intention is pure and good. Okay. So let's pick, I think we've kind of looked at what needs to be released, what needs to be changed. I kind of want to see like what is coming to you in this Libra cycle. We got 10 of Wands again. We got the 7 of Cups. Oh, there you go. And we've got the 8 of Pentacles. Wow. Okay, so we got the 10 of Wands again. So it is almost this aspect, but this aspect of hard work. But this is a lot less tiresome than this guy, right? He's working hard, or they are climbing up a hill. They have all these wands on their back. It's burdensome and it's tiring. And in this one instead, they have reached almost the top of the hill, it looks like, and they are resting. So giving yourself the time to rest once you put in the hard work. And with this 8 of Pentacles as well, it is saying that to be able to honor the craft and the intention and the manifestation that you are putting into this new moon, if you're able to do that work, then you would be able to reap the benefits. But I think you have to be very clear with the universe, or right? Yes, with the universe, because we got prayer. So this is an intention, affirmation based reading because of the new moon for you. And so this 7 of Cups, I think you have to be very clear with the universe about what your emotional intentions are. I think first you have to find that clarity within yourself before you go demanding it of the universe or placing your order into the universe. Be very clear. Like I said, it has to be this reflection. We have to look at where these emotions are all coming from. And it's not going to be easy, but you do have this. I mean, Spirit was on the grandfather's side, and Spirit seems to be on your side here. So I think this is going to be very important for you to find some emotional clarity. So that was your new moon reading. I hope that was helpful for you. If you're interested in the astrology of the new moon, check out that astrology video, and there's also more information about the rest of the week as well. So have a wonderful new moon. Believe in yourself, believe in the universe, and I will see you next time. Bye. All right, pile 3, we've got your perseverance card here. This is the sacral chakra. And the sentence is, don't quit before the miracle, which I already love that. So the legend is, Shannon's carrot-colored cloak is a gift from a famous stage actress, and she wears it always as a symbol of her own talent. One day, frustrated by the sacrifices she has made in her long pursuit of success, Shannon throws off the cloak and gives up her acting career. The great goddess tries to convince Shannon to put the cloak back on and stay the course, but she doesn't listen. Just around the corner, had she persevered, was great success. Key ideas are breaking through, unseen help at work, feeling taken for granted, and overcoming doubts. And keywords are steadfast, success, miracles. That, I think, can be a little testy. I think we're all told never to quit. Being a quitter is a bad thing. But I think if you can sense within yourself that you're doing something that isn't aligned with your true self or your happiness anymore, then to quit is really just to honor yourself and honor your goals and intentions. However, I do feel here with that story that there is something here that you do want to give up on. There's been a lot of hard work at play, and having one more person tell you to just keep going isn't helpful. But that's what I'm here to tell you. Or that's what the cards are here to tell you. We'll see what the rest of the cards have to say. But there is sort of this message of don't quit before the miracle. Don't quit before the manifestation of the goals and intentions that you've been placing. So let's see what those goals are. Okay. There we go. Okay. We've got the Wheel of Fortune. So already it feels like it's a luck game. It's a game of hoping that this is it. Just like putting in your numbers for the lottery and hoping that this is the day that you win the $1 million. It feels like a gamble. It feels like a risk. Maybe you're really putting yourself out there. We've got the High Priestess. So I feel like you're almost putting yourself out there on a spiritual basis or in a spiritual endeavor. Almost maybe you're an empath who's creating a business through your empathic abilities. And we've got the Five of Pentacles. Yeah, maybe the money isn't coming in too strong right now. But that's where I think whatever it is you're doing, it doesn't mean that you are, like, if you're not a Reiki master and starting your own business, this reading isn't for you. It's just saying that whatever it is that this venture is about, where you're taking a risk, you're really putting yourself out there, you're putting all of your own into it, all of your eggs are in the basket, and you are, you know, really doing something that's aligned with yourself, with your true, like your happiness, what brings you joy. You're putting yourself out there and you're taking a risk. That's basically what this is saying. The Five of Pentacles is saying that you feel like nothing has come of it yet. And what I would ask you to do is look at the last full moon in Libra 6 months ago and look at how far you've come from then. What were your goals 6 months ago? Have you achieved them? Have you surpassed them? Have you not reached them yet? And have your goals shifted since then? Have you maybe realized that the goals I had back then actually weren't realistic and they weren't aligned with what made me happy? They were just aligned with what I'd always been told that I wanted or needed. So that's what we're dealing with this new moon, is almost the way that you look at, looking at yourself fairly and kind of seeking that balance. The new moon in Libra. But neither of the other piles got that message, but there is sort of this like having to treat yourself fairly, justifying the goals that you have or haven't met, and knowing that when you're putting yourself out there, you're already doing so much more than just earning money. You know, you are aligning with your soul and you are doing what your soul came here to do. And that's really incredible work too. We've all sort of been taught that this is the way that the world works, that we all have to kind of earn this amount of money and work this amount of hours. And, you know, we're all kind of teaching ourselves and teaching each other kind of low key that like, oh, that's not making us happy and it's just serving other people that don't care about us. So I think that's sort of the mindset that's being switched up for you. I think there's like an element of treating yourself fairly just keeps coming back and back and back, and I don't have any clarification on it. So I'm going to get some clarification on the treating yourself fairly part. The Star. Yeah. Treating yourself fairly when it comes to the Star. Hopes and dreams. Aquarius. It's the age of Aquarius. So the Star comes after the Tower. After the solid structural thing that we were all relying on has a sudden change to it. And I think, as we have all been experiencing over the last 2 years, we have been experiencing systemic change and, you know, kind of being more cognizant of what does and doesn't work. And so the Star card comes after that structural change where we realize that, oh, I didn't need all of these tangible things. I just need myself, my goals, my dreams, my hopes, and my community, because it's the age of Aquarius. We are dealing with other individual people on a mass level. Aquarius rules the internet. It rules crowds. It rules large groups of like-minded people, and it rules your large community. So that's where you need to be fairer to yourself, is that you are trying so hard to make connections with so many people. Aquarius could also rule networking. So you're putting so much effort into making connections, real human connections with other humans. And that is a lot of effort, and that's a lot of work, and it can be draining. So giving yourself that benefit and giving yourself that praise and validation that you have been putting in so much work. So I'm really curious to see where this full moon in Libra was 6 months ago and where it is in your chart right now in the new moon. And I think it'd be really, really good for you to reflect on the last 6 months, how far you've come, goals you had, goals you didn't make, reality check of the goals that you did make. So yeah, let's see what you need to release. Although I kind of already have an idea, but let's see what needs to be released. We've got the World and the Three of Wands. So what needs to be released here is that overwhelming amount of things that need to be done. It's such a weight on your shoulders that I need to get this, this, and this done. And seeing the big picture is really fantastic, but it's almost time to go down back to basics, that Three of Wands of what is just my next step. Think of this like a Virgo Mercury would. What is my next step and the step after that? And you can't go any further than 5 steps ahead, because just little baby steps, and you'll realize in a month, wow, I've done 20 baby steps, and that's actually led me to a really big mile marker. I really achieved a goal that I didn't realize I had been doing because I wasn't looking at the big picture. And it's important to look at the big picture every now and then, but it's also sometimes so overwhelming to only look at the big picture. I know I personally can be a really existential person, and so sometimes my mind will just spin, and I have this huge idea of what the universe is like, and it sends me into a bit of a tizzy. So it's really helpful to sometimes get just sort of back and look at the next step, rather than focusing so much on the ultimate goal. Because what is the ultimate goal anyway? Why are you racing so much to reach that last goal? Because what are you going to do after? So enjoy the ride, enjoy the journey, be fair to yourself, be kind to yourself. Let's pick one more card of what you need to hear, one extra message you get to hear. That Knight of Cups. Yeah, charge forth from your heart. That's what just came to me. Is everything that you do must be from the heart. And if you're doing something that is draining you and you're exhausted at the end of every day, it's because it's not coming from the heart. It's not coming from your hopes, your dreams, and intentions. And fun fact, this card actually jumped out when I pulled out the star, and I put it back because I didn't think it was for that time. And then it came out for this. So that is the extra message you need to hear. Charge forth from your heart. I would say even for the new moon, write that down. I charge forward from my heart, and place that under the new moon and just revel in that energy. So I hope that was helpful for you. Please, please, please look at where the new moon is happening in your chart and comment down below, because I'm really curious. If you want to know more about the astrology for the week, go check out that video as well. And yeah, I hope you have a really, really wonderful release and self-nurturing new moon in Libra.